Dorime, interrimo ad appare dorime.
Live-action Disney remakes suck. You know this, I know this, Frank the FBI agent who monitors my internet activity knows this. And with the war crime that's about to be the next live-action Disney remake coming up, it's clear something has to be done. And I, a low-tier YouTuber, have the solution. Disney wants to remake these movies. They are all about cashing in on our nostalgia, especially for millennials who are now getting older and going through a quarter-life crisis and suffering from the slow realization that our generation will be doomed to suffer as we fade into obscurity or self-destruct ourselves after a generation of once-in-a-lifetime tragedies that has irreversibly destroyed our mental health. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Disney breaking the Geneva Convention with their live-action remakes. What Disney doesn't understand about live-action remakes is that regardless of what social media does or says, most kids don't really care about these remakes. But many of those kids don't have an attachment to them, like the older generation does. If they do care about them, it's because their parents or older siblings showed it to them. But many of those parents and siblings, the ones that actually really do love these Disney animated classics that keep getting remade, are actively keeping kids away from these visual horrors of muted color sludge. Why? Because those animated films are what captured their heart, and trying to manipulate the same audience through their nostalgia, there are only so many times we're willing to let Mickey Mouse, what the f is Mickey Mouse? Okay, we're gonna redo that. There's only so many times we're willing to let Mickey Mouse bend us over and reenact Minnie's affair with Goofy till we've had enough of that abuse. I am definitely getting demonetized for that. I am definitely getting demonetized for this. And since Disney is hell-bent on reselling these classic films, but audiences are rejecting their attempts, what is the compromise that makes both the sellers and the customers happy?
However, just one problem about that, I am dead inside.
Re-release animated films with updated animation for the theaters. I know what you're gonna say. Many of these Disney remasters have ruined the texture of the older films, and I agree, you're right. Every time Disney would remaster one of their classic animations, most of the time they look like hot dog water. I'm not suggesting that, not at all. I'm suggesting Disney take that giant boatload of money they were going to just set on fire with one of their shitty live-action Disney remakes and dedicate to re-releasing these older Disney films with better, more detailed animation and maybe even updated audio quality and putting them back in the theaters. We all know it's just a PR dribble when Disney says they're remaking these movies to bring the stories to a modern audience. It ain't about that, it's about money. But what would get them more money and less hate from, well, everyone? It's using that budget to make these classic stories look even better. Disney wants to sell these old stories, and yes, many people do want to experience these movies again and also want to introduce their kids to them. The only thing is they don't want to abuse their kids by making them watch these live-action Disney remakes. You know, child abuse is a bad thing. So what sounds more appealing to everyone? Disney wasting millions and millions of dollars to remake a movie that will only be known as a lazy copy of a classic animated film, and in a few years' time will lose any cultural impact beyond being a terrible remake, which most of them have been and most of them are remembered as, or bring one of their classic films back with updated, beautiful looking animation that allows the older generation to experience the story they loved again on a big, giant IMAX screen, while also creating an incentive for them to want to bring the younger generation to experience the movie with them and for the first time. One of the main reasons why the original Star Wars trilogy was loved through the generations beyond being classic films was that George kept creating updated visuals so they could be enjoyed and resold through the years. And regardless of if you agree with all their changes, they were integral in helping keep the legacy of Star Wars alive before the prequel trilogy, and even after the prequel trilogy. This would allow Disney films that didn't do too well at the box office but become cult classics beloved by millions to get the second chance they deserve. In fact, this was the business motto Disney used to have. Alice in Wonderland was a flop at the box office in the 1950s, but became a classic thanks to its re-release in the 1970s. Pinocchio did terrible in the 40s when it was released, but became engraved in pop culture thanks to the 80s and 90s VHS and DVD sales. One of my favorite films of all time, Hercules, didn't do too well at the box office, but became beloved thanks to its home release. BTW, this is a big reason why many movies need to still have physical copies. I don't care. Pirate it. I mean, fuck. Could you imagine what films like Treasure Planet, Atlantis the Lost Empire, and even The Black Cauldron, films with giant cult followings, would do at the box office now with the right amount of marketing and the push from the millions of fans who love these films, going to the theaters and bringing their kids, siblings, or friends to experience them again in the modern day? I think they would do pretty good. You could also take films like the animated Aladdin sequels, Mulan 2, The Little Mermaid 2 Return to the Sea, an extreme Goofy movie, and many other direct-to-video sequels that were actually of good quality, and bring them back with better animation, a bigger audience, and put them in theaters. I know on a technical level this conversation becomes a lot more complicated than I'm making it out to be, but I think taking these live action remake budgets, which can range anywhere from Aladdin's $183 million budget to The Lion King's $260 million budget, I believe that money could be better spent on making these classic films look better, rather than just ripping them off to dwindling returns and favor from both the critics and audience alike. I mean, seriously, Pinocchio is getting roasted, my guys. Let's face it, there is no way to recapture the magic of these great animated films through a live-action corporate remake. I don't care what it is, the Lilo and Stitch remake, the Frozen remake, the Little Mermaid remake. No matter what good they do, they're always going to be derivative sludge. But there is a way to bring back these old classic films to a new generation the right way, while allowing the older generation to experience them one more time. Thank you to everyone who made it to the end of this video. I appreciate you, your time, and your views. Social media accounts are down below. If you liked today's video, how about you leave a like? If you want to see more videos from us, then hit the subscribe button. And if you want to support the channel to see more videos like this, so Frank doesn't have to keep watching those videos of me twerking on OnlyFans, how about you become a part of our Patreon or YouTube membership? It deeply helps the channel, and it shows we can make more videos. Let me know your thoughts on these live-action Disney remakes in the comment section below. Is there a way to stop them? Is there a better alternative? You tell me in the comments. No matter what you do, I appreciate you for stopping by the channel. Have a good day, have a good evening, and have a good night. See you for the next video.